So we're back with Grant Cameron, and we're going to be talking about another one of his books, or actually kind of two of them coming up, but they're related. And from what I understand, the overarching subject is Mount Shasta. So Grant, can you tell us a little bit about these books and how they connect to Mount Shasta, please? That'd be great to hear about.
Beautiful. Thanks, Sinead. I'll tell you the background story to what happened here. This actually has to do a little bit with a producer that you and I will be visiting in July. Her name is Teza Lawrence. And what happened was Teza Lawrence was optioned a book that I had put out called Charlie Red Star. In fact, it was Teza who got the book published for me through Toronto, through Dundurn Press. And she optioned the book to do a movie. And she said to me, she said, "Oh, I've got this movie, and and I've got the script ready. Would you like to read the script?" And I said, "No, not really." And she said, "It's about this Mission Rama, and they come from Peru, and they're the greatest." And she's yakking away, and I said, "Whatever, I couldn't have cared less." And what Mission Rama is, it's like a C5 group, but they were the first. They started in in early 1974, and there's two brothers, Sixto and Charles Paz, who have this encounter with these beings. And the beings actually do something different than most CE5 protocols, is that they are able to tell you exactly time and place. So to within the minute when they're going to appear. And they just happened, the craft appeared, then they would bring their friends out and the craft would appear. And they were using a meditation, a consciousness protocol to interact with these. And then they started going on the ship, and they would go to other planets and stuff. And then they bring their parents, and it became known as Mission Rama. And they've spread around the world. There's I was told there's maybe 25,000 around the world, and they have these various groups in various cities, and it's mostly Latinos. So the American and the English-speaking world really doesn't know who these people are, and I didn't know, and I didn't care either. The reason they optioned my Charlie Red Star book is that they want that the Canadians wouldn't finance this movie. They said, "We don't care about Peru. Who cares about Peru?" And so what they were going to do is they were going to take my story, which is a story about Carmen, Manitoba, and about all these sightings that took place over a whole year. And I'm out there and I'm investigating and I'm seeing stuff and I'm talking to people. And they're going to turn me into a reporter who's working in Carmen, and he's documenting all this stuff. And all of a sudden, he discovers Mission Rama. And the story turns to Peru, and then now they can finance the movie in Canada. They started in Canada and they move it to Peru. So Teza was fascinated with this group, and one of the two brothers is now in Toronto, and so she had a lot of contact with this person, and it was very excited about this movie. Wanted me to, and I said, "Whatever, you pay your fee for optioning the movie, and I don't care what you do with it. I was not interested." So what happened was, my books, an editor, a girl who used to help me edit my books, her name is Caterina Castillo, was a legal secretary in Los Angeles, and she would edit my books, and she's from Colombia. And her uncle was a very famous UFO researcher, and she got dragged down the rabbit hole, got very interested, but she was big time into Mission Rama. And Mission Rama, what they do, and some of the people that broke off, and they use Mission Rama protocols, but they're not actually an official Mission Rama group. And one of the people that sort of broke off and uses the protocols is a guy named Ricardo Gonzalez. And he's an experiencer from Peru who tours the world and is able to have these encounters. And the encounters are different than CE5s because they have what are called program sightings, where they do meditation, they do oming, they raise the vibration of the circle, and then the beings tell them exactly 9:33, they're coming at 9:33, and 9:33 this thing will fly by, and they're filming it, and everybody's speaking in Spanish and stuff.
It's always communicated through automatic writing, from what I understand.
Yes, and they've collected every automatic writing thing that they've done since 1974. Wow. And they won't know a message is legitimate unless two people get the same message. Then it's legitimate. So that's what they do, and they use this protocol. So anyway, Ricardo Gonzalez was going to be at Mount Shasta, and a lot of these groups, and you even have Costa, who goes to Mount Shasta. There's a lot of C5 groups will go to Mount Shasta. There's this belief that it's a spiritual mountain and has all these powers and stuff. So Ricardo was coming to Mount Shasta almost every year. And he had the experience where in 2014, 2015, they opened what are called Zendras. Now, in the English-speaking world, they're called portals. And Mission Rama was famous for being able to, at time to time, open a Zendra where it would form like a sort of a bubble of light. People would go into the Zendra 7 at a time. The being would be in there, or they would walk into the Zendra and go onto another planet. And they were sort of became famous for this. So Ricardo comes to, he has opened as the Zendra in 2014, 2015. He starts to become sort of popular. People know who he is. And all these Latino people go up and they go to meditate for world peace on the mountain. So Katerina, who'd helped me a lot, said to me, she said, "We're going to Mount Shasta. You gotta come. You gotta come. We're gonna go and we're gonna meditate for world peace." And as I always told the story, Katerina was a good friend of mine. She helped me a lot. I have nothing against world peace. I have nothing against meditation. But I really had no idea that I should go to Mount Shasta and sit on the side of a mountain and meditate for world peace. It just didn't hit me as being something I wanted to do. But because Katerina had helped me a lot, she was bothering me. You got to come. And she was all excited about it. I said, "Okay, Katerina, you've helped me out. I'll come to California. It's a 3-day drive. I'll come to California. I'll go up. I'll sit on a mountain. We'll meditate." I was this Ricardo guy. And I really didn't understand too much that this was Mission Rama protocols. So I go.
This is in 2017, 2018?
This is 2017, August of 2017.
Okay.
So I leave, and you got to remember, behind the scenes, there's this option on this movie that deals with Mission Rama, who I really don't know who it is. So Desta Barnaby, who is then helping me with my books. And I say, "Well, we're going to go to California. Do you want to come?" She says, "Yeah." So we're driving across the country on this 3-day drive. First day, we go to Wyoming. Second day, we're going across the desert in Nevada, and we're heading for Reno, Nevada to stop for the night. And then we're going to make the final trip to Mount Shasta. So we're going across, and her cell phone rings. And she picks up the cell phone, and it's Katerina Castillo on the other end. And Katerina says, "I've got a message from Aunt Terrell for Grant." And I had already gotten a message earlier from Chris Bledsoe that turned into a book on music from Alien. So I knew if I get a message from an alien, let's get it correct. What's going on? So I said to Desta, I said, "What's the message? Get the message. Get exactly what the message is. What exactly is he saying?" So what had happened was Katerina got it from Paula Harris, who got it from Ricardo Gonzalez. And Ricardo Gonzalez got the message from Aunt Terrell that said, "We know Grant's coming to the mountain, and there's going to be a program sighting on Saturday night." So a program sighting is they're going to tell you exactly when they're going to come. They're going to tell you exactly the location they're going to come. And so we went there, and then suddenly it's like, whoa, it's like the alien knows I'm coming to the mountain, and now I'm all excited. And the weird thing was I had no interest in Mission Rama or these protocols or meditating for world peace, and suddenly I'm into this. And they do a lot of fasting. And so I said, "Okay, I'll play the game." It was Wednesday. Okay, fine. No, I fasted, and I said, I'm going to get ready. And I sort of felt that I would rather Katerina go through the Zendra, but I knew they'd open these 2 Zendras, and I'm going, "Oh my goodness, I may actually see an alien, and then maybe they're going to open a Zendra." And I'm thinking, because why would the alien tell me unless he was going to do something dramatic? So I remember, and this became book number 1. So I went there. To make a long story short, an event happened, 9:33. There was 2 people. One was a PhD psychologist trained at Columbia University, gets the message at 9:33. And on the Thursday before, she gets the message. 9:33 is when it's going to happen, and Ricardo gets 9:33. So when this event starts, this PhD psychologist goes to Ricardo and nudges him, said, "Look at your watch, look at your watch. It's 9:33. And what happened was we were sitting there, and you do this protocol that you've probably done where you get into a circle, you meditate, you try to raise the vibration, you're doing mantras, you're oming and this sort of stuff, and you're trying to raise it so that the beings can lower their vibration, we raise our vibration, and they'll come in and we can have a contact. So I remember Ricardo's looking at his watch, and he's looking up, and I'm going, and I knew it was between 9 and 10, but I didn't know it was 9:33. And at 9:33, this event starts to happen, which is this flashing right over my head. And I'm looking up at this thing, and I'm thinking, it's right above my head. And I'm thinking, well, that's pretty egotistical to think it's above your head. It's above the group. It's not above your head, Grant. It's not above. And then, and Katerina was there, and so was Desta, and they both thought, no, it's above Grant. It was like, and it started this flashing thing. It flashed about 7 or 8 times. And I missed most of the flashes because I was looking down and people were cheering and clapping, and it was like, and so I mean, I was hooked. I mean, so I decided I'm going to put this all together, all the stories about Mount Shasta, and I saw that as my mission. As soon as that happened, I knew that these Mission Rama protocols, that these people, these contactees, and there's a bunch of them that run around the world and do this kind of stuff, nobody's ever heard of them because it's all in Spanish. And I said, I'm going to tell their story. I'm going to tell the English story of these people. So I started to write this book, and I documented the whole 2017, these Zendras. Actually, most of the people that were in the 2014, 2015 Zendra were at this 2017 event. So when Paula Harris told me, she said, oh, they're all here. I go, they are? Let's go talk to them. And we go there, and I got the camera going, and they're like ordinary Latino people who are housekeepers and gardeners and just ordinary people. And they're going, yeah, I saw it. I was in the Zendra, and there was this alien. He was 10 feet tall. He was wearing a bicycle suit. He was all muscular. He had long silver hair, and they're all telling the same story. And I'm thinking, wow, what a story. This is amazing. So I write the whole book, and then I'm thinking, because there's one is Ricardo Gonzalez, and then there's Enrique Villanueva. When we were at the 2017 event, he was having an event across the road. So we're on this, what they call the sand flats. There's no trees. It's an open, sandy area. We're on one side of the road. He's on the other side of the road. Because he was speaking English, he was doing an English group. The people on our side of the road, which is 150 people, there was maybe 4 of us who didn't speak Spanish. And they're saying, no, he's doing English. Don't talk to him. Don't talk to him. And they sort of had him as like the bad guy. And I'm going, well, we saw this stuff, and I'm thinking, I'm doing a book. I want to know what he saw. Maybe they saw something. Maybe they saw that flashing thing that we saw. And so then I said, I don't care. I'm going to go talk to this guy. And so then I talked to him, and Enrique Villanueva sent me a video, 34-minute video. And he said, yeah, here's, and they had portals opening up. They had aliens. They had orbs. It was like, made it look like we were sleeping on our side of the road. And I'm going, wow. So I figured that I couldn't do the book. I couldn't do the Shasta book until I'd gone to Enrique's event. So I'd been to Ricardo's events, and I said, okay, I'll go to Enrique's event, and I will record what happened at Enrique's event, and then I'll do this book. So last August, it's 2019 of August, Enrique's having his event, and I said, Enrique, I'm coming to Mount Shasta. So again, this 3-day drive across, and to go to the mountain, and I'm going to record what happened. So I'm there, and I'm not telling anybody I'm recording what's happening, but I knew I got to finish this book. I got to do the second half of the book. So I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to record everybody's name, and I'm trying, who are these people? Because I got to get all the names right. And a lot of stuff happened, and that's what the book is. The book, it's Encounters with the Non-Ordinary is the name of the book. That was the sort of the title that Enrique gave this weekend event. And they have an encounter with a being up on the mountain. They have a bunch of people who have this meditation experience going inside a door. They get a message about a door that's at Mount Shasta. And it actually looks like a door. It's on this path, and it looks like a door inside the mountain. And they go there, and they're told visions about this door. They find this door. People are meditating, and they're going inside the mountain, and they're talking to aliens. And so I record all this stuff, and it's just, at first I don't think anything's going on. On the Saturday morning, it starts on the Friday. The Saturday morning, they're doing these exercises. And they're doing this like Chinese exercise, they're doing all this, hold this position. And I'm sitting there, and I'm going, if it was dark, I'd be gone, man. I didn't come here to do stupid exercises. I was just dying because I don't use those body parts. And I'm going like, holy, how do I get out of this? And then they did this Kundalini thing, and I'm going, what is going on here? But then they started telling stories late Saturday morning as to what had happened, who had seen stuff, and all this sort of stuff. And I go, oh, and I start writing it down. So on the Sunday morning, I actually have my tape recorder, and they start telling these stories, and they tell this story, unbelievable story about the entire mountain being lit up. And there's a story about Telos. There's this rumor that there's a city under Mount Shasta called Telos. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, there's a bunch of people out there, and they're filming this. And there's lights. The whole there should be no lights, not one light on it's all snow on the mountain. And they're looking up, and the whole mountain is lit up with all these lights. And they go, Telos. It's the city of Telos. And so I tell this story, and they're telling me the story in the morning, and I'm taping this. I'm going, great, I'm getting this all on tape. I'm going to have my book. And at the end, it's almost like the synchronicity of you were intended to do this. Because that's what I figured the first one. When I had the first event in 2017, I said, this is my mission. I'm writing the book about this thing. Nobody's ever written the English thing. I'm going to write this story. So the same thing here, and I'm still, nobody really knows I'm recording everything. and I've got the tape recorder going. And then the one woman says, Enrique, are you going to record this? And he goes, no, I got no time. I got no time to write this down. And then he says, anybody want to do it? And I go, me. I put my hand up. And then he says, everybody give your email to Grant. You tell it to Grant. So I had everybody had to talk to me. I had their email. I taped interviews, and I basically did the book. So that's what the book that's now come out is the second book on Mount Shasta, which tells this story about what happened last August. Just one weekend. It's a book. It's a shorter book, maybe about 120 pages. And then we will finish the first book. I'll go back and do the first book, which has been finished for a couple of years. And it was just waiting for the second one. But there was so much stuff happened in one weekend at one event that it was an entire book. And I basically talked to everybody who had an experience. Everybody that came to me, I did interviews with them. And that's basically what this book is. And it's one of many stories that happens at Mount Shasta. But it's a carefully documented event that shows that if you go with the right intention, the right consciousness, and you do the right meditations and you raise vibration, you can go and you can actually have an encounter with a non-human intelligence wherever you are. And these protocols that they use do appear to work. They do appear to be able to bring in whatever this phenomena is.
Well, they were clearly very lucky to have a researcher there who was there in person, who was able to jump in at the right moment and say, don't worry, I will document everything for you. But in terms of, you're documenting everybody's experiences, but what was your own experience? Like, all these lights that came onto the mountain, tell us, right? Did you see this yourself? Did you see it?
Well, what happened was, it was kind of weird. You used to have these really weird stories that happened. And what happened in that event was Enrique, they had gone up to the mountain and they had this encounter with this being up on the mountain. And they'd come back in about past midnight. I guess it was 1 o'clock. They did some more meditation in the circle and stuff. We'd all gone to bed. All of us were in our tents. And so they came back, and then Enrique went to his tent at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he suddenly realized he's got 5 bars on his cell phone. And he goes, you don't get 1 bar. I've never had a bar. I mean, I got 5 bars. So he goes, oh, and he starts looking at the news, and he's looking at his cell phone and answering emails and stuff. And it's at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then the event starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. He's running it. So he goes, oh, I guess I better go to bed. So he comes out and he tells the story, and I tell the story in the book. He comes out, and then he goes, he's looking, and there's a light. And then he says, that's below the mountain. That's not in the sky. That's below the mountain, because the mountain is right there. And then he goes and he takes it closer, and he goes out in the middle, and he sees the whole thing lit up. And he's going, oh, my goodness. And he believed there was contact, because a lot of times contact takes place when you're by yourself. And he's going, there's going to be contact. I'm going to be contacted. There's going to be a being here. And then he's going, where's my camera? Because he'd seen the lights, and he immediately thought of Telos, the story of Telos. Where's my camera? And he goes running to the tent, and it's not in the tent. He's going, where's my camera? Oh, I left it in the circle, in the circle with the chairs. So he goes to the chair, he gets his camera, but he took some photographs, which you could sort of see the lights, but his camera wouldn't film at night. And so then he's thinking, oh, Marcel's got the camera. He's got all the high, and he's going there, and he's trying to wake people up, and people are snoring, and he's trying to wake. And then he says, "I gotta get Grant. I'm gonna get Grant out of his tent." But then he didn't know what tent I was in, and he's running around trying to figure out somebody's got to, because now he's by himself. He's got no witnesses to this event, and he gets 4 women from Los Angeles who are in his Course in Miracles. He teaches the Course in Miracles, and these Latino women were there. One girl said, I'm not getting up. No, I'm not getting up. And the other 3, they're out in bare feet, and they're running out and screaming and yelling and flashing lights at these lights. And it's an incredible story. So that's how the event. I really didn't see anything. The first book, when you read the first book, that happened to me. And what happened in the first event, will come in the next book, was these things started flashing above my head. And then when it was over, Ricardo Gonzalez sits down sort of right beside me, 1 chair away, and he opens up this little tiny black, like a little binder book. And his wife has got a cell phone, and she's got the cell phone, and it's lighting up the thing, and he starts doing automatic writing. And he's going, he's writing. And I says to Desta, he's doing automatic writing. She says, no, he's just channeling. I go, no, he's doing automatic writing. And then he starts going sort of sideways on the page. Then he's going right up the page. And he's writing. And I'm going, why haven't I got my camera? Because I had a video camera, but of course at night, who's going to think you're going to photograph something at night? And I'm going, I don't have my camera because I'm watching this. That is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. And then he goes, shuts the book. And he's sitting there meditating. Boom, the book's back open again. And the wife's got the phone, and he's writing again. And what he got was 2 messages. One was from Antarel, and one was from Envika, who is the female commander of the ship. The second message was from her. and they talk about me. Grant didn't see anything, but he doesn't need. He knows we're here. Messages like this where the alien is talking to me, and then he asked me. He says, "Well, what did you think?" And I went, "Well, it's kind of good." But in my head, I'm thinking, "That's the best you could do." Because I remember I had some sightings that were pretty close when I first had my sightings. I was pretty close to this object, and I was at one point in an object. I was so close I was going to jump on it. I was that close. So when I see these flashes, yeah, there was 8 flashes, and it was pretty bizarre because I was looking, and it was nothing. I could see exactly where the flashes were coming from, and it just in the same spot. It didn't move, and we checked the satellites. It wasn't a satellite or anything like that, and but I was thinking to myself, that's the best you could do is a bunch of flashes. And yet the book came out of it. And I figured and that's true. I mean, that was true, that I really don't need, and I've always tried to say to people in the UFO community that to go and look at lights in the sky, I mean, it may be entertaining, but it's really not what it's about. And so I've never, because I had such close sightings, so many sightings when I first started, and then I didn't see anything. I didn't care. So people are on this, well, can we prove UFOs exist? I go, who cares? They exist. I saw them, man. So I was never consumed with wanting to see stuff. I don't really care. I mean, it's a light in the sky, big deal, whatever. I want to know what's behind it. What's the intelligence? What's the message? That kind of stuff. Whereas most people, if you haven't really seen something really close, really dramatic, you're always still into sort of like trying to prove it to yourself. Boy, if I could see something, I'd really feel good. And then once you see something, you go, oh yeah, I'm right. And you sort of feel vindicated that this is for real. I never had that experience. So it was true what they said in this message. I really didn't care. I really didn't care that I was kind of upset that I didn't see an alien. I would like to have seen a Zendra where Antarel was standing there, because I'd heard these stories and interviewed these people. But so with Enrique, I didn't really see anything. I just heard these stories of these people telling these stories, and I was fascinated with watching, and I would learn important lessons. I told the one lesson that I tell in the book was we're in the circle, and you always have this thing, whether it's a physical mediumship circle or whether you're trying to raise vibration in a CE5 event or a Mission Rama event, is that you got to do it. You think, this is garbage, and you see people with lasers and they're looking around, and they're missing the whole point of the event. Is that you've got to do the meditation. Not the meditation so much, but you got to do the oming. Or in physical mediumship, they're doing it singing. They're trying to raise the vibration through singing, and they're trying to get it up. And I thought that was all garbage. And what happened was they got these messages, and you'll read this in the book. They got these messages to go higher up on the mountain. And so the guy who's the guy's getting the message, they're all listening to him. Okay, where do we go? What time is it? Where are we going to go? And they take off, and they leave the circle. So the circle breaks up. We're trying to raise the vibration for what they call a crystal ceremony. So Mission Rama has this crystal ceremony where you hold your hands out, and the aliens put these cesium crystals in your hand, and then you take them and you put them over your heart, and you become more psychic. You become more in tune with them with these crystals. So it was going to be what was called the crystal ceremony, and they had picked the spot. There was this high energy spot outside the circle, and I remember I'd never done the crystal ceremony. I'm going, wow, man, I'm going to get to do the crystal ceremony. I wonder what's going to be in my hands and all this kind of stuff. And I'm all excited. But what happens was, because they had got this message to go to the top of the mountain, and it was for 12 till 3 in the morning, that they had all left. So they broke up the circle. They all got up and they left, and there's cars moving around. All the oming stopped. All the meditation stopped. Everything stopped. And there was these people driving on in cars and talking and stuff. And then when they were finally gone, it was, okay, let's start meditating again. It was too late. It was game over. With the circle where the crystal ceremony was going to take place had died out, and we're sitting there, and I could see they're walking around. Like Kim, who you know from Michigan, she was one of the ones that was going to run it, and I could see her walking around in a white hoodie, and I'm going, why is she walking around? Why is she walking around the circle? She kept walking around, and I could see they were whispering. There's Kim and this other woman who were whispering. I'm going, why are they not oming? What's going on? And what had happened was the energy had dropped right off in the circle. And they were saying, try to raise, and they'd say, could do this, and we're trying to raise the vibration to get the energy back up. We couldn't. So when they came back, they felt sorry for me. I said, no, it's the best lesson I ever learned. This is real. The idea of raising the vibration is real. I thought it was all garbage. And when this happened, I realized this is for real. And so if you're in a C5 group, or if you're in a thing, you've got to do the mantra stuff. That's what's turning it. You can't be looking at the sky with a laser and wait for something to fly by. The purpose of the thing is to raise the vibration so that the event will take place. Because if you don't raise the vibration, there will be no event.
Understood. Understood. I'm also curious if we can touch on really quickly, if you can give a really
Yeah,
short answer
sure.
for this, just for
Yeah.
people who are watching. What is the difference between automatic writing and channeling? Because earlier you said that you were witnessing Enrique doing automatic writing, but then Desta said no, he's channeling. So what's the difference between those two things?
Okay, I think it's basically the same. I call them contact modalities. So it's how you get into the field. So a channeler, what Desta will do is she will go into this theta state, going through alpha down into theta, and she will sit there with her fingers and she types. So she's typing and she's in this meditative state. So it's almost like automatic writing as well, where automatic writing is you put your hand and the hand sort of writes. But whether you're bringing it in through your mind, through messages, through visions, or whether you're bringing it in through hand, it's the same sort of thing. It's getting into the field. But Mission Rama has always used the protocol of, they call it psychography, I think they call it. They have a term for it. And they always use this thing, but then you'll see situations where they will get messages through a more mental type process. But it's basically the same thing. It's basically getting into the field. And some people will, for example, use tarot cards. And I even talked to Deb Furry, and I said to her, I was talking to her, and she said, I can actually read without the cards. And that's true. So you're using, I call them, Bashar calls them permission slips. Whatever it is that works for you. If you got to use chicken bones or, read numbers or whatever it is, and you believe it's going to work, that's just a permission slip. Everybody's basically doing the same thing. They're just, I believe what you're doing is you're basically shutting down the ego left brain. You're shutting down the noise and you're picking it up. And once you do, then whether you're using your hand or whether a being comes in and like a walk-in where he's talking, or whether you're picking up messages and relaying messages, is basically all the same thing.
Okay, well, speaking of contact modalities and, the head and all of that, and then speaking of just recalling back to your first experience at Shasta when those flashes of light were coming down onto you, what do you think that was about? Do you think that that was some kind of message for you? Did anything happen between that experience and the next Shasta experience you had 2 years later that maybe gave you some insight into what that was about? What do you think?
Well, it did to me. I mean, it just set me off. Like, I got a mission. I'm on a mission here. I'm going to do this. I was just floored by this thing. Their impression from the messages came, what these flashes were doing, they were changing DNA, or they were actually doing something to the whole group with these flashes. And I'm really not too sure about that or how that all works or whatever. But I know it did affect me, even though it wasn't major. It set me off in terms of, and that's what I have a thing called the theory of wow, where a lot of what happens to you, when you have a UFO sighting or you have a psychic experience or whatever, or you have an awakening thing where you really don't know what's going on, but you know that you're sort of on the path now and you just got to do it. And I call it the theory of wow, where they'll do something where you just go, wow, that's pretty cool. But then you can't stop thinking about it. Why did they do this? Am I part of this? And I think for me, it was a triggering event where it basically shifted me, because I had no intention to do a book. I had no intention. I had just gone there because Katerina Castillo said, come and meditate for world peace. I said, yeah, okay, I'll come and meditate for world peace. That's all I was doing. And when that happened, and I ran into these people, it was almost like the synchronicity thing, where the people who were in the Zendra in 2014, 2015, like 80% of them were there. And I said, they're here? They're all here? Let's go. And we went, and Paula set up the interviews. And it's sort of like I got dragged into this thing, almost like they wanted me to do the book. They wanted me to do it. And when I realized that there was no English speaking, nobody that's why I didn't know. That's why when Teza Lawrence talked to me about we're doing this book about Mission Rama, I said, who cares? Who cares about Mission Rama? I don't care about these stupid people. I mean, who cares? And that was the thing. I didn't realize, because it was all in Spanish. All the books were in Spanish. This will be the first book written in English about this group and the stuff that they can do.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so that was a very fired up explanation of both of these books, and I bet people are really going to want to read them. So I guess we will have to just wait with a little bit of impatience to see when they're going to come out, which hopefully will be very soon.
Yep.
And you'll be able to tell us when they come out too, where people can find them, either through your publishing company or on Amazon or both.
Yeah,
but
it'll usually be the same. It'll be the same. It'll be on beyondpresidentialufo.com, where you can get it there, or on Amazon. And those will be the basic two places where this book will appear.
Terrific.
And it should be out soon. It's all finished. It's been finished for quite a while. we just have a number of books lined up that we'll be talking about as we go along. There's a whole pile of books that all are ready to go at the same time, and it's just a matter of time till the final editing is done and the book cover's done, and then we're ready to go, and people can read about Mount Shasta. And a lot of people are attuned to Mount Shasta because there's a lot of groups go there. A lot of people have been to Mount Shasta. They know the magic of Mount Shasta, and this is one of the main groups that's able to make things happen there.
Well, it sounds very, very intriguing. Like, it's definitely going to be really helpful for a lot of people who, as you were saying, you know, so many of the Rama books are in Spanish, and so it's not accessible to people who don't have Spanish as the first or second language. So this book is going to be really helpful for people to understand what Rama is about, as well as the just plain incredible things that happen at Shasta, no matter what group you're a part of. So thank you so much for letting us know about both of these amazing sounding books.
And thank you for your interest. I appreciate it.
Very much so, and anytime. All right, bye for now.
Bye-bye.